But, your question had a lot, had a preamble, a long preamble here. When I was young, I always questioned stuff for some reason, whatever. I was always looking into things. I was working really hard to understand what this was all about. And so my first enlightenment was when I was 21 years old. And it didn't occur to me till more recently that I've lived my entire adult life with that as being not only a possibility, but a so. And so, I realized that I might not be able to empathize with people who've lived their adult lives differently, the same way. Now, certainly I can as a human, because as a human, all human stuff is, human stuff. It's the same condition, and it will remain the same condition. But once a friend of mine, I lived in a shack in Berkeley, behind a house, and a friend of mine brought a woman by, and I was in there contemplating, and he brought this woman by who was psychic, sensitive, that kind of thing. Interesting woman. And we were talking, and she said to me, I see a man who is working really hard to get beyond himself. But I don't see, he's not allowing himself to be the one he's meant to be. And that struck me. I wondered what she meant by that. And yes, it was true. I was working really hard to get beyond myself, to transcend everything. And then a bit later, I realized that, a couple of years later, I realized that I had not really lived life like people live life. I'd lived life questioning. I'd lived life training in disciplines and, obsessively doing that kind of thing. But I didn't do the normal things people did. So if I was trying to give up life, maybe I should know what it is I'm trying to give up. See? What is it? And so I decided to open a school, which, start a business. I dated. I did these things I hadn't done before. And that was interesting. And then one of the things that struck me, and I'm getting to your thing, is I lived behind a school, very modest living, but I was making income. And I would, whenever I wanted toast, I would cook it over the flame on my stove there. I'd hold it and cook it on the flame there. And that's just, what I did, because that's all I could think to do. And at some point it struck me, I could buy a toaster. And see, the thing is now, most people know they can buy toasters, okay? And I knew intellectually I could buy a toaster. See, but the possibility of buying a toaster didn't exist for me. I lived in a world where, however I constructed it, that was a foreign matter, you see? And the moment I had this little eureka about I could buy a toaster, people actually sell them. They want me to buy toasters, There's somebody out there who wants me to buy their toaster. And I could go out and buy a toaster. And of course, then I realized I could buy all sorts of stuff, that it was all out there. I could buy a blender. And this was like a whole new revelation for me. So now, see, once that opened up, you see, then the world of appliances became available. Well, it's kind of like that with enlightenment, all right? See, it's like once it becomes clear, see, once you get, hey, I could do this, see, then a whole world opens up that wasn't there before. And you could do other things too.